What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode and a new season of If There's a Will, There's a Wave. I'm Jeremy, this is Cleo, and we're restoring this 1973 Loadout Flybridge Sport Fisher that's taken a little bit longer than we expected. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the current build progress. We got a lot done last season, so if you're new, welcome aboard, and be sure to check out our previous episodes so you can get caught up. Without further ado, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Season 2 of If There's a Will, There's a Wave. We're finally back from our little hiatus, and we're ready to start getting some projects completed on the boat. If you've been following along, you probably realized that we did not meet our deadline for the 4th of July 2021, as this project overall turned out to be a little bit bigger than we expected. Either way, we're glad to be back working on the boat and are motivated to get it done by the end of this year. I have a few projects already planned that I know many of you are going to enjoy, so stay tuned for an exciting season. That being said, let's go ahead and get into today's episode. So as you guys can see, we're now working with the old engines that used to be in the boat that we pulled out last season on episode 15. These are the Chrysler 318s that we're pretty sure came with the boat when it was originally purchased. That being said, we've had these things sitting on our lot for way too long and no one has bid on them on the marketplaces, so we decided to, rather than have them just sit and rot and take up space, let's get them to a recycle center and get a little bit of cash back and move on with it. Which is something I'm very glad we did, because here's a surprise I was not expecting. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. Oh my god. Yo. I think we might overflow this. So as you guys can see, that was some pretty gnarly stuff. It seems like the head gasket on this engine went bad at some point, and it allowed the coolant and the oil to mix, making this nasty milkshake and just gnarly sludge that took hours on end for it to fully drain. So this is about 6 to 7 hours afterwards. I let it sit overnight, and this is the following morning. Pretty gnarly stuff there. So now that we got the first engine done, we got to go fish out the second one from the very back of the lot. In order for us to move the engine around, we had to use my good friend Leverage in the form of this 2x4 to help us pivot from location to location. And here you'll see me removing the clutch plate and the flywheel from the old engines, as we plan to use some of these parts in the next engine when we put everything back together. I did also grab that alternator there, as it looked like it was replaced fairly recently. And if you couldn't tell, moving these engines around was not an easy feat. These things are at least 500 pounds each, and it was quite a struggle, but we managed to do it. As you guys can see, that oil was not too bad, and it was actually oil. What I wanted to do was take a second out and show some of this footage to you guys. As I was dumping out the oil, I looked up and I saw this massive crack on the underside of the riser. And on the other side, we've got this other one which is almost twice the size, and it's pretty gnarly. Either way, we are junking this engine, so it's really nothing to worry about. Once we had all the fluids out of the engines, the next step was to put them each on their own pallets and get them ready to have them dropped off at the recycle unit. As you guys will see, things did not go exactly how I originally planned, but we did come up with a solution, so stay tuned. right, so I'm potentially gonna go at this at a very sketchy way. This is where we're at, okay? You guys just saw right now, I tried to get the crane at an angle on this pallet, and no matter how extended I put that and how close I got it, the engine wasn't even above the pallet. So that's not an option. I went this route. Pallet is on top of the crane. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the pallet on some jack stands, and I'm gonna use my jack to lift and lower this unit off the rack, off the cherry picker. Let's see how this goes. Here is probably where I made the wisest decision for this task. I strapped up the engine to the pallet, and right here it almost tipped over. I know that if I didn't have that strap, it would have been on the floor, so very thankful I did that, and we successfully got it on the ground. Now we just gotta do it one more time with the second engine. We made it to loadout day. I do want to have a little disclaimer. If you guys end up doing anything like this, please make sure that you take all the safety precautions and make sure that you're doing it as smartly as you possibly can. I did have a couple sketchy moments on this day, this being one of them, where I didn't get the pallet fully onto the ramp and we had a little bit sticking out, and it's probably not the smartest thing to have done. But we managed to work around it, and I just straight manhandled that engine back onto the ramp so I could sit there properly. And we got it to work. I'm moving a whole fucking engine with my body right now.
Wow, you're so strong. Oh my god, I can't with you.
That felt good! That felt good! I'm not trying to scare you, buddy. Here I'm removing the new spark plugs that we had purchased when we tried to get this engine to start back in the day, and now loading up the last engine. And by this point we had already figured out the method in order to get this onto the truck real nice and easy. We are at the junkyard, so I'm gonna get these loaded up right here so they can pull them out with the forklift. And we can say goodbye to these two junkers. I gotta say, this was probably one of the second most sketchiest points in this project. When the forklift driver came to pick up this first engine, I saw that he didn't put his forks all the way into the pallet. It was about halfway in, and when he was trying to take it out, he kept clipping it either on the side of the truck or on the engine. And I promise you, I thought that thing was going down. But obviously he knows what he's doing, so let's leave it at that. First engine down, second one to go. When dropping off the engines, the man made it very clear to me that they would not be taking either the pallets or the tires, so we had to have them removed and put back into the truck. Overall, I would call this project a huge success. We ended up bringing about 1,300 pounds worth of metal to the scrapyard and got about $200 back. With that, I'm pretty pleased, and it will be going into a future episode of If There's a Will, There's a Wave. If you guys made it this far, I'd like to extend my thanks by giving you a little extra information on some future episodes. So at this point, we have about 90% of the varnish completed on the boat, and all that really stands to be done is the cabin door and a few small trim pieces. Aside from that, we have another exciting project coming up in which we'll be installing a beer kegerator into the cabin where the old fridge used to be and have a beer tap on the countertop. Stay tuned for that future episode, and thanks for watching.